We're standing in Hangar 4 right now, but in one of the annex buildings on the front side of the hangar. So not where the aircraft were, but where the people were. And one of the really important things to get across about Duxford during this period is it was a community of people as much as it was an airfield. That of course included men and women, because the women of the Women's Auxiliary Air Force, or WAAFs as they were known, were incredibly important. Not only did they fulfil many of the jobs given up when men moved into more combat roles, but they were also highly trained people that were doing pretty secret and pretty intensive work in the operations rooms. One of the most fascinating and one of the greatest characters we've uncovered as we've done work on the history of Duxford is a lady called Maria Blewitt. Now, Maria was a WAAF. She was sent to Duxford in one of those roles that required a great deal of education, a great deal of skill, a great deal of nous, and she really had it in spades. She would write to her family most days, most weeks, and of all those great letters, there was one that really stood out for me, and that letter was written on the 11th of September 1940. Just after a very well-known event when Churchill goes on the wireless and delivers a speech which doesn't pull any punches. It talks about the likelihood of invasion. And one of the things I think we tend to forget about the Battle of Britain is, of course, the people fighting it at the time, people like Maria, they had no idea they were going to win it. It was a pretty dark time and they thought that they might lose it and in fact the country would be invaded. So much so that in Maria's letter to her mother on this day, she talks about Winston's speech. She calls him Winston. And in her brilliant turn of phrase, she calls what he said a tiddly bit frightening. And one of the reasons why I like the letter so much, because it's very understated in terms of the fear she's obviously feeling. But the great thing that shows both her resilience and the resilience of the people around her, and the people particularly at Duxford, but also on the other RAF stations and in Britain more general, is the next line she delivers, because she immediately goes on to talking about having a 48-hour leave pass. And she says, "I'll be home on the 17th unless there's an invasion." So, but pretty much, that's when to expect me unless we get invaded. It was just the delicious understatement of it that just really shone through for me. It represents resilience, it represents sense of humour under trying circumstances. It represents that mix and blend of people that are here at Duxford. And of course, when taken within the context of all those other documents, you begin to build a picture of what a community was like here in 1940. Again, at a time when they really didn't realise whether they were going to survive or not.